Hello, hello, hello. Let's see. Volume always an issue. Sounds like it's better. You guys let me know though. How are we doing? Uh Sick. What's going on, Micho? What did I miss in this market, man? Look at this move. It's hard to be off the desk when you see something like that. Definitely a lot of opportunity in here. Hopefully you guys made some money. Yeah, so what's SPY been doing? I think if we go back and look at what I had been saying prior to my holiday, I left somewhere in here, I think. We were saying in the short term we were expecting some level of a pullback, and then a bounce, and to look to ride the 20 kind of here, which is kind of what you're seeing. And I know this is an absolute disaster, so let's see if we can go to VU. Maybe that'll be help or easier. But yeah, ride the 20 up, and then we were saying we think that there's going to be a bullish what's it called? A bullish golden cross on the market, where the 50 crosses back over the 200, and we've been saying 4th of July bullish cross. What's going on, Timar? Yeah, so that's what I'm kind of thinking. It's still on the cards. It might happen even sooner. But look, we're 6:30, a couple days here. You got a short week for the 4th of July holiday. You got some big news coming in, so stuff to consider. But what's this market been doing? Just a nice move up after a bounce off of the 20. And it's kind of like, what bad news is really going to need to come through to sink this market? And I don't know. I think it's really tough to identify what that is. So this could continue to just drift higher, and obviously you'll see the TA being very similar, just kind of like drift higher off of a bounce. We get a pullback, drift higher. This is like the typical stair stepping that we're looking for, right? So yeah, kind of something to think through there. And you have to plan your trading accordingly. And so with that in mind, we understand what we think the market's going to do. If you didn't watch Pete's video yesterday, you should absolutely watch it. It's probably one of the best ones I've seen in a long time. And I'm not saying that just because I've been off the desk, but this was this was my takeaway from it. Let's look at that real quick. I took some notes on it. I watched it last night at like 2 a.m. because my flight got in so late. But this is what I took from it, right? Pete's looking for a gap up on the big bill signing. It's a bullish impetus because of cutting taxes. There's going to be more money that could flow into the market. And based off of that, he's looking for if there's going to be some strong selling. He wants to see the news come out. And once the news comes out and we see the bounce from it, selling from institutions saying, okay, we know what the news, the bullish sentiment was. Now we can take some profits and really determine how positive, how bullish these buyers are, right? And then, he's saying there's the potential for an engulf off of that news. And he wants to see strong volume selling to kind of keep his thesis that this is a weak market, right? But in the interim, we could continue to drift higher. So like we were just saying, right? You could continue to drift higher on standard stair-stepping PA, where we, test, pull back to the 8, bounce again, retest the relative high, pull back to the 15, bounce again, test the relative high, right? And so what can we do in the interim? Pete says, continue day trading long, stocks that are making new all-time highs. So, the strongest of the strong, the best picks. And when the market is strong, but seems ripe for a pullback, overextended, right? So this piece of feedback that I have here is actually universal feedback. And this is actually kind of like a good strategy to be thinking through, right? Because how often do we see this? We see this so often. The market's engineered to go up. You keep seeing it kind of moving up, moving up, moving up, and we've saw that all last year. And all last year, you're like, man, in here, like this can't keep going, this can't keep going, this can't keep going. And what happens? It just continues higher, right? The camels. There you go, kissing camels. But so how do you trade that? Well, you would like to be in some long swings that you can continue to ride, but cautiously, like Pete's saying. Well, what's a great way to do that and to get a discount? Selling puts. And this is unfortunately a strategy that costs a little bit more in terms of the capital that you have available to you. But when the market is strong, but seems ripe for a pullback, which is right where we are, right? We're getting extended from the 8 EMA. Day trade the strongest stocks intraday that are making new all-time highs, and then consider selling out of the money puts on good stocks with strong support below. You should not be shorting this market. And I threw this in here because, I have been doing this latter part, and I think there's something here to this. When you see weakness in the market on an intraday basis, as it's making a new relative high in the day, and you can see the market turning over, is there a world where you can short the indexes? QQQ if it's weaker, as an example, or SPY itself if it's weaker. You can use RSP, you can use some of the different sectors to identify these things. That's a higher level, technical analysis strategy, but you can use that as part of your day trading, as part of your intraday trading, to kind of match with what you're doing in terms of selling puts, and turn a nice profit here in this market as it continues to drift higher as we wait for a pullback. And as Pete says, if you're selling those puts, and Harry always says, if you're selling puts, it better be on a stock that you're willing to get exercised on. And you're looking for some decent profit there. You're not wanting to go too far out, but you're looking also to identify, is there strong support below? So Pete's pick was Ava Technologies, I think this was, and this certainly looks good. I mean, look at the D1. This thing's a beast, an absolute beast. And so what can you do here? You can look at the chains, and you can find opportunities to sell out of the money puts. In this case, I sold some at 30 this morning, and I put in a limit order below the high of the day, and I got filled this morning. So those are already in profit, and we'll just hang on to those. They're, I think, 18 days out, $30 strikes, and we'll see what happens. This is a stock that if we get a pullback and we test the 50 or test the 20, like you have some pretty good support here. You have strong volume and also bullish impetus here, bullish sentiment. Like Pete said, this is a stock that the institutions want to own. Well, he also elaborated on what the longer term fundamental side of that is, and I think you have to take some of that into account. And so basically what I'm trying to say is the notes that I was taking on this I found so pertinent to all of us, and so pertinent in so many instances in this market, because how many times are you kind of behind the 8 ball? The market's the market's strong, you're not in positions, but you want to participate in this continued bullish rally, but you're with the understanding that there's a pullback that's likely to come through because of standard TA. How can you do that? That's exactly how we could do that, and how we can trade this market. So food for thought. Ripley, what's going on, dude? Chocolate, what's going on? Good morning, guys. Good morning. Yeah, we're back at it here. Finally got home from Europe. That was a fun family trip there. I really was trying not to trade and keep my eyes on the market, but it's one of those things. When you're really into this, when you really enjoy what you're doing, you're always going to have an eye on the market. You're always going to have an eye on what's going on in the world. And so you probably if you're in the Discord, saw me participating here and there. But yeah, it's it's passion. So market gapped up here this morning. So what happens when we see a gap up? We don't chase, we wait. We wait to see if there's going to be some level of a gap fill. Well, it's attempting a gap fill. It looks like it's, pulling back to what was some support or resistance rather on Friday towards the high day, and it is now bouncing. Now we're back through VWAP. It's pretty bullish, right? You're seeing a couple tails coming in here. You're seeing a hammer coming in here. Got a lot of lines that are coming in on these charts these days. You have the 8. Sorry, the 8 is orange, green is VWAP, yellow is the 15, blue is the 21. On VWAP itself, I also have standard deviations. Gray is 1 standard deviation, 2 is red and 3 is red. You also have some pivot points in here as well. So just a quick refresher on some of the charts. I know I have tons of lines of support and resistance in here. It's because, you know, these are the levels that I think are important. And so we'll see how they reflect. We'll leave them there and we'll go from there. XLF had been on a fire this morning. Now it looks like it's pulling back, giving it back. SoFi is one of the stocks that I really like, and I had been calling out even while I was traveling. I actually took a position in SoFi, and then you know, not like loving the market. I actually bought like a bunch of shares around 16.20, and then I ended up selling them for a small gain, and so I got back into it on Friday. And here we are. I like where it's at. I like the breakout of some of these H minuses. I think there's a lot of longer term impetus here. We know that there is you know, credit issues in the market for retail and consumers. You know, this is a stock that provides financial solutions in, you know, not the best economic you know, conditions. So I like SoFi from both a macro perspective, fundamental perspective, but I also like it from a TA perspective with this breakout. You're back above the top of the cloud. You're going to start fighting with a lot of this garbage in here. But you know, SoFi's still a relatively new company. You know, still from January 21. I like SoFi. You're going to have a bunch of cloud levels that are going to start coming in here, and look at that. It already reflected against one this morning. That's where you started to see a pullback. But it's up 7% today. I mean, seems like a pretty darn good pick for me. I also like Shop, and Shop's making a nice move this morning too. I took shares in Shop long on this hammer last week, and we're just kind of sitting on them. So we'll see what happens there. I mentioned I sold some puts on Ava. You know, fine to sit on these. I have shares of XYZ. I like XYZ. I've been bag holding these for a while, but I like what I'm seeing here from this, you know, breach of the 100, pullback, riding the 20, back through some of these key levels of the cloud, and now we're bouncing, and now you have AVOP all-time high, I believe, coming in here. No, AVOP November 4th. Yeah, it's got a ways to go. So it's going to be testing the 200. I don't know. I don't recommend XYZ, but I have shares of this, and I average down in this because I like the moves that we're seeing. Is there a way to trade this on the intraday because it's strong relatively to the market? Potentially. I still like PLTR. This is a macro fundamental long too. I mean, there's definitely something here for this company. You know how much Trump favors this. You know how much, how heavily invested in this company the government is and will continue to be in the long run. We know about its AI changes that they're looking to make to their platform and what they're already using it for. I mean, it sucks. This company is a piece of shit, but at the same time, you know, Peter Thiel, he sucks, but you know, there's no denying that this company is basically subsidized by the government to do well. So Reddit, another one, looks great. You have a cloud line up here, a significant one, but it's been making a nice move since it broke through the 100 here. So you got some nice support below. Is there a place to sell some calls or to sell some puts on this? Potentially. Closer to the SMAs, I don't know. It'd be something you could look at the chains and find out. I think Isidore, I saw the call out for RTX. I mean, this one only makes sense, right? We know all the war considerations. We know that they do a lot in aerospace and defense. I mean, it's been steadily moving up since earnings. Its earnings pullback rather. Yeah, I mean, it looks great, and it's continuing to be great. It's had its nice pullback, and now it's bouncing. You got some pretty good volume coming in here too. I mean, people like RTX. So a couple good stocks that I've put into this, and I've dubbed it F long. So fundy longs, F fundamental longs. When these stocks are finding good technical breakouts, you know, these are the ones that you would like to trade too because there is a fundamental or macro impetus there. Hood looks good today. I mean, continues to look good. This thing's an absolute beast. People, you know, are in the markets, and we know that Bitcoin and we know that crypto is going to be big for us. So, yeah. Let's see here. Give me a second. So yeah, I hope you guys have been making some good trades lately. This market, you got to be able to commit to some positions here in this market, especially with the price action that you had seen in here. My trip started right here on where was it? Back here. right in here. I think I left on Tuesday, and I was like, all right, we're seeing a little bit of pullback. We're seeing this drift lower. We're seeing this pullback to the 15 to test the 20. You know, these days, and then you saw this buying here, and you're like, all right, are we just gonna, you know, we're not gonna get any more pullback? It's like, all right, well, I guess I have to get long. And look what happens. You get a nice gap up, whether it was some news or not, and you get nice continuation to new all-time highs. This is a technical move. So you got to trade it, and you can't be afraid to trade it. Just because we're at all-time highs doesn't mean you can't trade it. But what do you do to trade it? You find the best of the best, just like we're doing now, and you layer into those, and then you see how long you can ride it, depending on, you know, the strategy and what you're thinking. So QQQ had made new highs, I believe, prior to the market. It's already got its golden cross, and the 50 is rapidly moving up, which is, you know, indicative of a strong move. We know that the semiconductors have been strong. It looks like they're pulling back a little bit today, so something to consider. But yeah, market is in a really good place right now. And like I said, if you are seeing this price action and you're not willing to get long, when will you be willing to get long? Because this is a strong technical move. And you can do it with, you can kind of like limp in, you can do it with caution, like Pete's saying, but this right here is exactly how we should be trading a market like this. With the understanding that, yes, you know, if you're going to get long, you better be careful, because there's a chance that, you know, you're going to get a pullback. Well, if you got your pullback and you see the market establishing support, there's no better opportunity than to get long once again, right? And you're well aware that there is news, there is things on the horizon. So with that said, let's look at the economics calendar. Today, we had the business barometer this morning. I think it came in and it was, PMI was lower. So, I mean, I don't know what to make of that. I think PMI, it's crazy to me that PMI is, you know, not reflecting what we think is going to happen from tariffs, what the Fed thinks is going to happen from tariffs. But either way, if we get an additional rate cut, or Powell comes back and says, all right, I've seen enough. Inflation really isn't ticking up because of tariffs. What is that? It's bullish. So, I mean, this is the part of the same argument. If you're looking at SPY, you know, what is it going to take to bring this market down? I don't know, but those are the considerations. It looks like Bostic speaking later today. You have Powell tomorrow, so obviously that'll be important. But I really don't imagine I'll hear anything different, because we know what July 9th is the tariff date where we expect to see more of what some of these trade deals could yield. I mean, I don't expect any big changes. You know, Trump, if you know, you can feel however you want about Trump. I don't really care one way or the other. But you know, my opinion is, I think, well established. He's a taco, and with that understanding, I mean, I don't think anything's going to change. He has no reason to walk back some of these tariff things. He should just leave it as it is, because people have pretty much forgotten about it at this point. And if he can just keep, you know, pushing it off, then, you know, it doesn't really hurt the market. The market's starting to price that in. The market's not really listening to it anymore. But if he comes out and says things like he did on Friday about Canada, you saw what happened and how that reacted to the market. It's very interesting, though, and that's the kind of way you need to be looking at the market is, okay, when some of this news pops, how does it impact the market? Well, the Canada news impacted the market, kind of interestingly. The Chinese news didn't really impact the market. That, you know, him coming out saying we have a deal with China, that didn't really impact the market, which was kind of surprising. But you have to watch the PA and see how these things reflect to see, you know, what's the market thinking, what's important to it, and how is that going to impact, you know, the overall thesis you have for the D1 of SPY. So, job openings, construction spending, ISM manufacturing, so a lot of, you know, economic data. I mentioned on PMI that it's kind of interesting that it's coming in lower. I mentioned this last week, I think, when I saw the PMI come in, and CPI, like, to me, those ratings are becoming less and less accurate. And I think you need to consider that. And it's been that way for a long time, especially with job openings too. And so we know that the Fed uses these data points to make decisions. Are they right or wrong? I don't know. It's hard to say. But they're the ones who, you know, deal with that fiscal policy, and thus we are beholden to their decision making. Now, last year, Powell cut rates when the market was in, you know, better condition. Worse condition than it is now. You tell me what that means. I'm not sure, but you know, is it political? I don't know. I doubt it. Pal seems pretty professional, but at the same time, you know, it's kind of something you need to be thinking about. ADP you have on Wednesday, which is kind of interesting because last time around it came in way below the forecast. So that was spooky for some people. Then you have jobless claims as well on Thursday, unemployment as well, and some trade deficit stuff, which we know is going to be interesting because of the tariffs. When I was researching the trade deficit stuff, it actually year over year wasn't really that significant. I thought, you know, they have more money coming in from tariffs, which is, you know, obviously better for the government. But what happens when that happens? If you have more money coming in from tariffs, it means that there's a cost, an additional cost on those goods or services that are coming in, and who bears that additional cost? Is it the customer or the business? I'd say 98% of the time, it's never going to be the business, right? And so what does that mean? That is going to be increased cost for the customer, which in theory should be, you know, seen in inflation. We're not seeing that. What does that mean? I'm not sure, but we have to continue to watch and monitor and see how that goes. And then with that in mind, Friday, 4th of July, we have the day off. So yeah, short week, a lot going on. Let's get back in this. Look at this rejection of VWAP here. Hardly could get above it, and then, you know, coming back down, but it tests this level, bounces off the second and the third standard deviation. We're finding some pretty good support here at what is like 616-ish. We're so far above the cloud, and we're so far at new all-time highs that, you know, you're really fighting for what is support, right? And so the best way to do it is, you know, you got to look at the previous day's support levels. You got to look at your standard deviations on SPY. You got to look at pivot points to kind of see, you know, where the opportunity is going to be. And then obviously you can jump into your sectors and see where there's strength, where there's weakness. VIX is kind of creeping up here a little bit. Keep an eye on that. But yeah. Red, what's going on, dude? How's everyone doing? It's good to be back. I missed it. I missed the desk, you know. SoFi still looking good. Look at this, breaching back above the cloud level. 8% today, 9% today. You know, was there an ad here? Maybe. I'll probably hang out in this. I think we're in a decent place to initiate some starter long positions and slowly add. So I got a couple hundred shares in this guy, a couple hundred shares in SHOP. Now you're seeing a pullback, testing this this pivot point. You know, SHOP is kind of stubborn, but I would like to see it test this H- is what I would like to see from all-time highs. And that would be a pretty nice move. Like we said, we sold some puts in this, and those are already in profit. XYZ pulling back a little bit. PLTR, we'll wait and see how it deals with this engulf candle. There's, you know, a big engulf there on last Friday that we'll have to keep in mind. That's kind of a little bit of a scar, but this is definitely an LTI opportunity as well. You know, is there a pullback that you can take advantage of? Reddit, like we said, watch this cloud level. We can just set an alert there. And hood. All right, let's jump into some sectors, see what's strong this morning. Hack was doing really well, and like we said, XLF as well, doing something. I'll set an alert at high day for XLF just to see how it's going to impact SoFi. Communications looks good too. Tech looking all right. So yeah, nice gap ups here for a lot of these major sectors that are moving the market. Hack also looking good, so we'll have to take a look at those stocks. Where is it? Rusty. Here we go. Hack. I know CrowdStrike has been on an absolute, you know, an absolute rocket. Good company in a sector that you know is going to be, you know, long term, very important. You got some H pluses that are coming in here that you need to consider from a big earnings candle that goes back March 24th. So yeah, some of that's up for consideration. Keep an eye on that. Let's look at PanW. Not bad. Retesting relative highs, all-time highs. Tried to last week a little bit. Got a little bit of a pullback. Standard TA. Keep an eye on this one. Qualsys. Not bad. You obviously have an H- coming in here. Is there a way we test that? Would not surprise me one bit. We could also throw some AVU ops on here. We got one here. I think this one is not great volume, if I remember correct. Oops. Let's see. Okay, look where that AVU op coincides with. All-time AVU op coincides right with this H-. I mean, to me, we're going to test those levels. You have some significant cloud lines coming in. You know, is there a world where we have to break through 146 to then, you know, test these levels? There's obviously some stuff here. Some pretty ugly horizontal, but yeah, I mean, look at that. But is there a trade in here? That wouldn't surprise me. ZS, another one. Been making really nice moves. You want some sort of pullback, great earnings, and big move up on nice volume. You would like to see a pullback and a bounce. You know, is that a pullback to the 50 potentially? There's a lot of crap going on this chart, so I apologize for that. This might be worthwhile to just there's probably an H plus in there too. All right, let's just do this. So we're not in a rush to make trades this morning. We're trying to see some support form on SPY, and then once we do, you know, is there a way we can look to get long? And yeah, I think it's so important, especially, and so this is a good example, right? Pete was off the desk, and he went in, did his Sunday video, and he did an analysis on the market, what he's been thinking, what he was thinking prior, and how that's impacting his thought process, you know, how he's looking for and scanning for stocks. And you got a good idea of what's important to him. And it gave me a great, you know, place to reevaluate too, stepping back onto the desk saying, okay, here's where I need to be thinking of what the opportunities are in this market. Cool. We'll look at the mags here in a second. We were looking at ZS. I guess let's finish out Hack real quick. Shouldn't take that long. There's only a couple left. But yeah, you have a definite H plus here. You know, is there a trade on ZS back up to that level? Probably. I think there is. There's a top of the cloud level here. Could be important. We'll continue to watch ZS to see if it is going to put in some support and test some of these levels. But look at that like pullback here. So this gap down when the market gapped up. That means this stock was in need of a pullback, right? And so weakest of all the Hack. But definitely interesting one to keep an eye on. S, let's look at this guy. This guy's weaker than some of the other ones on the D1 for sure. Has been for a while. It needs to find some support, and it had a really bad earnings report, it looks like. So there is a world where this, you know, retests the 50 and gets into the gap there, tests the top of the cloud and moves back up. I don't know, possible. Fortinet, this one's kind of interesting here. Let's look at this. Let's draw some levels. There's definitely something here on Fortinet. Look at this guy. Look at the touches that we're seeing here. You're now bouncing off of some key support levels in here on the 50, off the 100, off the top of the cloud. You have the 200 moving up. I like Fortinet here. What would you do with Fortinet? Well, you're at some key levels here. Do we have AVWAP on this? No, it doesn't look like we do. Good volume there. Throw one on here. All right, so we're hitting one standard deviation of all those AVWAPs, so you know it's probably putting in some resistance here. Just set an alert here and let's see if we can get some confirmation. Once we get confirmation, is there a world we can trade this up to, I don't know, some of these horizontal levels, 108, you know, then retest all-time highs. It's not a massive move. This guy's not a huge mover, but you know, could we test some of these levels and retest all-time high? That wouldn't surprise me. So we got the alert set there. Yeah, that's Hack. Let's go back into the sectors, see what else is strong. We said finance, we said XLC, so we'll look at finance here in a little bit. Let's look at the mags real quick. QQQ, maybe a little stronger than the market, holding up above VWAP, kind of interesting there. Sorry, my charts are a little messy right now. I was trading on my phone when I was traveling, and so it's kind of messed with some of the charts. But yeah, Costco earlier this morning, a little bit of a nice move, testing some cloud levels. Don't love it. Apple showing some weakness in here. D1 definitely a little bit weaker than some of the other ones. One we'll have to keep an eye on. Let's clean this up a little bit. Bumping up right underneath the 50. I mean, you could just set an alert. 50 there, because it definitely seems interesting. If you could get a breakthrough there, I mean, same thing here. We have it on the 50. Amazon's one, I think, was showing good strength in volume on Friday. Kind of interesting there. I don't know, was there some rebalancing? Someone might have mentioned that. Something to look into potentially. But yeah, nothing really on the intraday for Amazon. Microsoft pulling back from all-time highs, which is fine. This thing's been super strong. We know the considerations for AI here. This is another one, just great price action. Is there a world where on every pullback you're looking to get long, or is there a world that you could sell some puts on this? They will be expensive, but is there like a 475 put you could sell? Gives you some nice cushion on some horizontal here, right, where support was coming in, to then say, yeah, I'm willing to buy this, and because you know that this will probably bounce at some point in here. I don't know, something to think about. But like I said before, selling theta can be an expensive way to get long on some of these, but it does give you an opportunity to get a little bit of a discount. Meta, look at this, nice move on Friday, nice bounce today, pullback to some of these key levels here. Didn't even get the high a day, and now testing all-time highs. Looks like it already is at all-time highs. So definitely looks good. You have the H+, so you're going to see a lot of these H pluses coming in here now. We were just looking at that on a couple other stocks. Like, definitely something to think about. Look at SoFi, man. What a banger. Yeah, Ava. I mean, this market, for the weakness that it's showing this morning, after the gap up, pulling back, kind of like waffling in the gap here, trying to find support. Just flirting with VWAP, flirting with 1 standard deviation here. You have some strong picks that are going to keep going. They look great. I mean, SoFi is almost at 10% today. So, great picks on those. If other people saw them, I saw some people call out SoFi, but really like SoFi. Yeah, even as much as last week. So, nice one. SoFi, there was also some insider buying there and some big options activity. I follow a couple people on X that I think are worthwhile. Obviously, Unusual Whales will call some of that out. Obviously, Trading Edge calls out some of that. You have to get into his website to see it. But also consider, there's a guy on X, his name is Will Mead. He's like a paid service. I don't pay for it right now, but he does call out some things often that are, he just points them out. And so SoFi was one of them. A week back, he said there's some major call buyers on that. So. Prophet likes APP. Izzy likes NVIDIA. Yeah, I mean, NVIDIA is another one. You're definitely going to see a pullback. We like what we see from SMH, but definitely something to consider. APP, another one. Nice volume came in on Friday, but on the pullback, it stayed above the 50 and is staying above the 100 and top of the cloud. I mean, we know APP has this, like, crazy irrational potential. Well, let's see. There's another H- coming in here. How many of these levels are still relevant? Hard to say, but we'll keep an eye on this one. This is another one that probably deserves to go into, what was it called? F longs. F, there it is. Yeah. But yeah, how's everyone doing today? Anyone take any trades so far this morning? Looks like we can look at the S&P 500 map. We didn't look at this yet. Look at NEE getting nuked this morning. So what that is. Some weakness in cyclical. What's this? AES, ALB. So process, let's look at those real quick. I don't really think you should be looking to short in this market, but this one's rejecting the 100. ALB is almost on my do not trade list, so I would probably not look at that one. Let's look at NEE again. Yeah, gap down. I don't know why it says, oh, the Senate bill is going to hurt wind and solar. I saw that. So that's something to keep an eye on. Let's look at solars real quick and just see what they're doing this morning. Array getting beat up. I guess we could add NEE here. FSLR moving up despite that news, kind of interesting. Sedge as well, same thing. A little bit of a Momo, nice breakout here of this H-, testing the next one and then continuing. I don't know, interesting. Sunrun, wow, look at this guy, testing the 50. So you're out of AVA already? Yeah, I mean, I see it. If you're just day trading it, that's fine. Coming back to Scandinavia? I don't know, man. Not anytime soon. But it was fun. But yeah, it is expensive there, dude. Seriously, it's crazy to me. the cost of food and the cost of living. I think if you saw some of that in the States, you would be seeing straight up rioting on some of the pricing. So it's kind of interesting to me. Wizard, what's going on, dude? Organizing morning lists. That's good. Testing low a day again here from SPY. What's QQQ doing? Just below VWAP, so keep an eye on it. And let's see VIX testing the high day. Let's see if we're going to start seeing something turn over here. Look at that rejection from Costco. We already saw that. Tesla, I think there's some support here on Tesla at the 50 and the 200. You have the top of the cloud here. We know that they're doing some stuff with their self-driving cars, and they've got a lot of, despite everything Elon has done and said since the blow up with Trump and everything there's probably some sentiment around Tesla that there's still some good bullishness, some good support coming in here. Can you sell some puts? Can you get long on some of this stuff? I don't know. Google, weakness today after big volume on Friday, retesting this relative high, pulling back. I mean, that is weak today. No if and or buts about that. Yeah, I don't love what I'm seeing from QQQ here. Meta is probably the strongest one that we're seeing, but now it's testing VWAP. Microsoft is showing some weakness. AVGO is pretty strong here. We've seen that SMH has been pretty in a good place, so we can look at some other semiconductors, and we'll do that. We talked about getting into XLF. Micho says I want to write here already. Just got to make so much money in the stock market that it doesn't matter, dude. So yeah, SPY continuing to probe third standard deviation and low a day. Let's see if we break down or not. We're still testing to see if we can fill this gap. Oops, what did I do here? Gotta open up my mouse settings. Boom, boom. Cool. But yeah, I don't know. Hopefully that was helpful. Jumper HQ, what's going on, dude? Would you say SPOT had an algo break on Thursday, was looking at upward sloping trend line from 20th of March to 20? I don't know. I haven't looked at SPOT in a while, but I've seen some people bullish on it. Yeah, I mean, the stock is another one that deserves to be in F longs. Like, just always is one that, great product, subscription service, doing well. Nice pullback here. I would say SPOT had an algo break on Thursday. It was looking at the upward sloping trend line from 28th of March to 26th of June. Of March. I don't know. I don't think so. I just don't think that this is. I mean, it tried. Maybe it tried. Couldn't sustain it. You're seeing a pullback. I mean, this is another one, right? Like how do you trade these all-time highs? I guess Pete kind of answered that for us today. Yeah, I don't really think so. I see the wick. I see what you're thinking here, but I don't really think there's something too significant here. You do see the volume that was coming in on Thursday, so maybe those the attempt of an algo break, but I just don't think the market is where it's this is the market's just going to take off where SPOT's going to as well. And so if you're going to trade this, I think you have to find a way to get in on a pullback, and it is pulling back right now, and it is testing the 8 this morning. So there's something there, but then how do you trade it from there? I don't know. SPOT is one that I would love to have in the LTI though, for sure. So, team, I'm not a master of algo lines yet. 20. Yeah, exactly. So, what do we got going on in the Discord? Something that I wanted to call out in the Discord. I think, the Discord is the RDT Discord is an awesome resource. It's a great place to get good exposure to people who are trading the wiki strategy, that are trying to learn and grow in this environment, but at the same time you have very varying levels of people in this Discord, right? And you need to recognize that. You need to be really realistic with yourself, what level you're at and how you're looking to trade. And if you're not successful trading the wiki yet, or haven't put together some level of success with that, then you need to probably really be thinking, what is my focus, and should I be considering Momo? Should I be considering KQ trades? Should I be considering some of these different things? Should I be looking at the scalping that Harry's doing? Should I be looking for ETF or index trades off the top of the market when you see weakness from a new all-time high? Like, you need to be mastering the wiki trades itself first before you even considering any of this other stuff, because if you don't do that, then you're not going to be able to progress to the next level. And on top of that, right, this entire Discord is about learning and developing yourself as a trader. Well, build the basics first of this strategy, then you can go off and try all these other things, right? And it's cool. It's cool to see that Dan's doing these things. It's cool to see, some of the other things that, Neo does. It's cool to see the different spreads that we put on and all these things. It's cool to see the different theta trades that Pete throws out there, but you have to manage the basics first and understand what that looks like, in a paper trading format. So I can't emphasize that enough. And that's how you build a strong mental edge. That's how you take the edge that we have and you become profitable and find a way to make this work for you. So QQQ is stronger than SPY today. Look at that. So we'll need to figure out what in QQQ is doing that, because when we looked at the mags, there's not a lot of bullish impetus there. And we liked XLF, so we'll look at XLF and see what that looks like too. Yeah, some real good picks coming out here today. And I like Pete said, I think there's going to be some really good trading this week. I really do. I think there's going to be a lot of opportunity, even though it's a short week, because this just feels like we're going to keep floating higher unless there's some bad news that comes in. And so that's why we looked at the economic release calendar. Important. I don't know if there's any bond sales that are going to be auctions that are going to be coming through. Something to consider. Chocolate, when you said F long, fundamental wasn't the F word that came in mind. Yeah, that's why. Exactly. It's good. For sure, Jumper. For sure, dude. I haven't seen you in here, dude, but if you're, in the Discord, awesome. It sounds like you have a little bit of a handle on it based on your question. So I love questions like that. It shows that you've put in some work. So good consideration. For volume moving average, what's your input for volume moving average? Are you talking about my indicator? Wizard says a divergence between QQ and SPY is a clue for uncertainty, right? It could be. But if I'm going to trade the indexes, as an example, if I was going to day trade something, obviously you can trade it either way, but you have to be careful and understand what the room is, what the opportunity is. On SPY, we're already at the low of the day. So, what's the opportunity? You'd be looking to keep breaking down. You want to see this, if you wanted to continue, lower, you'd have to test VWAP and to get your pullback. For QQQ being slightly stronger, it is, but it can't even get above VWAP, right? And we looked at all the mags and we saw that was, you're not seeing a lot there. At the same time, we say, okay, SPY, with what happened this morning with this gap up, it needs to test some of these levels in here. And obviously you have a key level from the end of the day where we had closed, which kind of coincides with this pivot point here, 614.80-ish, 85. You have obviously some horizontal coming in here. When you're getting up here on top of the cloud at all-time highs, there's just not a lot of support and resistance lines. So it kind of makes it a little bit easier for you to say, okay, what are these levels that I really need to consider, and what's a good way to do that? Go into the 15-minute chart, go into the hour chart, pull it up and say, okay, what are these key levels? Well, look where we are this morning and we're finding support. It's right in here. Maybe there's a level is obviously bouncing off that a couple times here at the high of day on Friday. Maybe something from from Friday's relative high as well. Look at that. That's where we dumped out to on the first candle, and then finding a little bit of a doji there, but we're seeing some weakness. This is just standard price action, trying to see if buyers are still there. Well, they seem like they're still there, but maybe not. Engulf, test the low a day. We're gonna bounce back up, take the next level down. Well, the next level seems like it's about right there. So, is there an intraday short? Maybe. I'm not. I just don't think there's enough juice in this. You would want to see a pullback first to see, and we are overall just long, right? So we have a long bias rather. So you have a level there. You have this pivot point. And that would fill the gap. I don't know, but something to consider. And then you have the pivot point here. So let's see what intraday price action looks like. Jumper says, been looking for a few weeks in the Discord and read the wiki a few years ago, refresh this year, trying to get into trading now that after time. Cool, dude. Welcome back. We'd love to see it. We like trying to help people figure out, how to do this, how to make their way in this world if it's something that you're looking at, but you gotta really like it, and you gotta be, to some extent, a little obsessed with it. T-Mart, it's in the settings for volume, the moving average length. Let's see. Are you talking about this one? This volume? or you want it, or you want the VWAP inputs? I don't know. This is just one that I found that I was liking. I don't know if this is what you're looking for. This. I'll look at this one too, just so you have it. MA length. I don't know if that's relative. But these are just some different ones that I've used that, you know, I kind of just try to get a feel for. I haven't talked about Joby. Joby's a little bit of a memeier stock, but yeah, look at that. H- breakout, fantastic one. Looks like there was even another one there. Exactly where, I don't know, but look at all these levels that are coming through June 23rd. And then you obviously have some levels in here. Yeah, I mean, it looks great. This one's a Momo, though, for sure. Can you get a pull? I mean, look at this. Perfect pullback and bounce. Like, you could have traded that in there if you wanted to. Obviously, it's only 30 cents or so, but it's a cheap stock, so I don't know. One to keep an eye on. It's definitely worth going in here. Nice shout. And I saw that one in the Discord, so if you called it out in there, good looking out. ASTS is another one that's in that realm. Kind of interesting. It's pulling back today, but look where what it's done. It's just rode the 8, and now we're testing the 8. I mean, I think you gotta like that. AUR, I don't know why I typed that one. Yeah, this one's been getting beat up. This one's also in that sector. ASTS. I think Lunar's in this sector too. Something to think about. Mess with my mouse again. Keep doing that. Yeah. So, market right now for me is not throwing a lot, but the support on the low a day is holding up for now. So we'll want to see, you know, to try and get through VWAP, to try and get through some of these levels to see if we could consider something long. And then even then, I would say probably, you know, off the high of the day, off some of this pivot point, if we tested the high of the day and it was a wimpy test, maybe there's a place to look to short this intraday back down to the low day. I don't know, but this is a pretty tight level here, right? There's not a ton of room in here for a move, and because of that, I think it's tough to trade. Timar says, over the weekend I was charting Notice WT. Yeah, I haven't had the chance to really get in and do a bunch of flipping charts, but I really am excited to do that. So maybe this week I'll do something at night because I have some time. A little bit. Yeah, Wisdom Tree not bad. Pretty overextended. Nice volume that came out on Friday. What does that look like? Big jump in pre-market, then sold off. Gap fill. I don't know. Maybe. What is it? What do these guys do? Investment fund, Wisdom Tree, blockchain. Yeah, it makes sense. To me, like, there's definitely something with crypto and blockchain. Like, I think you have to really consider getting some exposure here. Obviously, if you're in the S&P 500, you have some exposure through MSTR. But I really think you have to consider some exposure because of what you're seeing happen to the U.S. dollar, but also because of, you know, how much Trump is, you know, whether you like him or not, he is standing for crypto really hard. So, and he has a financial reason to do so with the way he's positioned himself. And so yourself, you would have to say, if you know, if you can't beat him, join him on some of these things. So. So yeah, you're seeing a little bit of pullback, maybe a high day coming in for a couple of these stocks. Maybe you're saying, okay, we're at the low of day. We're, you know, having a tough time getting back above the 8 here. What's showing me relative strength? Seems like a great day to be seeing what's relatively strong. So I'll just jump into my watch list here real quick. Then we'll look at we'll also check this out. Oracle and PLTR looks good. Let's look at Oracle and let's look at SMCI. GS is one that I know Izzy has been trading. That one looks good. Continuing to make new highs. Could you turn the music down, Tad? Yeah. Better. What were we gonna say? Oracle. Yeah, I mean, gap up today after consolidation breakout. Look at that. Consolidation in here. Breaks out to a new level. It is pulling back though on the gap fill with the market, but you gotta like Oracle. There's definitely something here. Let's add it to the list. What else do we have? We said we already talked about PLTR, WFC. WFC, SMCI, HPE. Let's look at HPE and SMCI. SMCI, I don't know how I feel about this one, but look at this. We said we had a breakout here, some consolidation breakout. We even said, is there a trade here to this cloud level for 6.75% from cloud level to cloud level? Well, we got it. And look, you're seeing support hold from Friday. It's probably testing this H minus. We want to see if this breaks out to the next level. Let's just set an alert. What else do we have on the S&P 500 map? HPE, we'll look at that. We can look at GS. We said we're going to look at financials, so we'll do that. HPE, big gap up. What is this? There's got to be some news here. Bank of America upgrade, breakout from the 200. I mean, you got to like that. Through some cloud levels. Yeah, I don't know. There's definitely something there. I don't know why. Looks like it was news too. What time? An hour ago? Equity futures edge higher, pre-bill Canada. Yeah, so I don't know. Someone called out Juniper. JNPR. There it is. Holy gap up. I don't know what that's from. Highest close since April 2011. Doesn't say why. Maybe something with Canada. Is this a Canadian stock? No, I don't know. But, I mean, definitely a wild move. And holding these levels. Look at that. Is this low volume? I mean, with the volume, obviously institutions want this. It's not low volume. I don't know. There's something here. Is there a place to catch this on a pullback? I don't know. Maybe. But yeah. Rookie likes SMCI. We just looked at that. Jay is a live trader with Top Step. No surprise. Guys, like, something Isidore and I have, and even I've said to Profit and some other people is, you have the edge, and you know, I've said this in the Discord as well, right? The edge is there. The edge is relative strength and relative weakness. It's trading the wiki. Obviously, rule number one is market first, so you need to master the market, but you have the edge. You see what the market's doing, which can be unpredictable, which can be influenced by news much more than, you know, trading a relatively strong stock or a relatively weak stock. Why would you trade anything else unless you see a really strong, like, intraday technical setup? You know, if the market's moving faster and you think this is the only thing I can find and or trade to catch this move, then sure, fair enough. You know, take the trade on an ETF. But what I will say is that when people who come in here and are learning the wiki, are learning the edge, and then think, yeah, I should switch and just trade the indexes. I've always said, and this is what I was saying about what I said to Isidore, and I've said to Profit, is like, trading the indexes solely, to me, is like the last step of you potentially, you know, completing your cycle. To me, there's no reason to be, if you haven't mastered the wiki yet, there's no reason to be taking any size in the indexes. So, Reeks, everyone's a master trader until they blow up and disappear like Homer into the shrubberies. So true. And Trace is another one bites the dust. Yeah, I mean, everyone takes their lashings, everyone takes their beatings, right? And you have to hold your hands up and put some egg on your face. But at the same time, if you're taking index trades, then, you know, you're ignoring the edge. So that's the risk you run. Let's see, I got a couple other messages here. Why do you like XYZ? I don't love XYZ. I'm just in a XYZ position, but it is showing some relative strength off of a breakout of the 100 and some of these key levels. I would want to see it get above, test the 200 and some of these VWAP levels. But yeah, I mean, this is a big move down. This company is not, to me, a bad company. It'll suffer if the economy turns, but the economy hasn't, right? So I don't mind it. Is it the best of the best? No, but I have a position here, so maybe I'm a little biased, potentially. We talked about Joby, we talked about WT for a second. NU is an interesting one. I think that's a South American banking or something. You're at some horizontal probably. Yeah, you got some significant horizontal. This guy's pretty cheap, doesn't really move a ton. I mean, pretty choppy in here. I think that's kind of tough on NU. I guess people just don't have capital. In that case, the prop firms are just too tempting. What's going on, Exile? Yeah, thanks, man. Thanks for welcome back. I agree, right? Prop firms are very tempting, but if you want to sit there, if you want to use a prop firm as a way to manage your risk, I think that's a dangerous game. If you want to use a prop firm because you don't have the money, then it's also a dangerous game because you're setting yourself up and you're having to trade beholden to their all their different ridiculous rules. So is Top Step the best one? I don't know. I haven't tried any of them. I know the Professor Stan's one of them. I like the Professor. I think he has some really good insights on the movement of ES in the market overall, especially with cloud levels. And you guys know I implement those in my trading, but I also don't trade or feel the need to trade these different prop firms. So yeah, the fact that Pete doesn't trade index as bread and butter is enough. Yeah, I mean it's not your bread and butter. The bread and butter is the wiki, right? BBAI, that's another one that sounds like a Momo or something. Big Bear AI, there you go. That's funny. Big Bear Dre stock. You have some key cloud levels that it's getting through. You probably got a pretty significant cloud or H minus here that we'll have to keep an eye on, and probably throw on some H minus. Sorry, there's your H minus. Probably throw on some VWAPs from those levels. Let's see there. Definitely one here. Yeah, you're above those. I mean, it looks good, and it's just it's AI. You just gotta be careful with this because it's a Momo. Look at what it's done in earnings. This is pre-revenue. High volume. I don't know what of AI they do, but this is one that probably gets some news and it gets all pumped. Look at the volume that's coming in though. It has the break out through the 100. I mean, there's definitely something here. Not bad. We'll add it here. Kind of interesting. You're gonna have some horizontal levels. Is there a way where you get $2 to test this? Possibly. Move today's 20%. I mean, that's ridiculous. Tells you a lot about that stock, right? And so yeah, SPY just kind of hanging out down here. But listen, and Jay, if you're in here, like I'm not shitting on you, dude. I just think there's a learning opportunity in there. We've seen it all come around in the RDT Discord. I hate to say it, I've seen 50 of you coming in here, past the wiki test, all fired up, excited to be here, think they can do it. Thinks that prop firms and they can trade the the market directly with the indexes. I mean, we've seen it, and those people sometimes they stick around, sometimes they don't. But anyways, all that to be said, and I will defer this again. Don't trust me. Don't trust anyone. Don't trust anyone in the Discord. Don't trust you don't trust Harry. Don't trust Pete. Do your own due diligence. Look at everything that people do. Look at their background. Their body of work, and evaluate for yourself. Is this person reliable? Is this person not reliable? Should I be considering some of the trades that they're looking at? Why are they looking at these things? Do they coalesce with the whiskey, with the wiki? If they don't, then ask yourself: is it something that I should be looking at? Having wiki and the full evolution laid out, including traders at various steps of the journey, is such an insane. Yeah, I mean, this place is great, dude. Like, I don't know of any other resource out there that is comparative. Maybe there is, but yeah, I don't know of it. And so what I will say is this, right? The reason that I stream, and I've said this before in my streams, is because it helps me to kind of have some clarity in my process, and if it can help other people along the way, then even better. generally speaking, I'm a profitable trader. Had a really good year last year. We're struggling a little bit this year and took, some pretty key losses on certain days when I was oversized when I shouldn't have been. But overall, trading hasn't been bad, and we're doing all right in this market considering. Now we're at all-time highs again. We're going to keep moving back up. Like, what's the opportunity? How can we, make a decent living on this? Something to consider. That being said, also, right, there are other traders at varying stages. People that are, a year, 2, 3 years back from where I'm at, and it's valuable to see what they're doing, what they're thinking, what are the issues that they're facing, because you will probably face some of these too. And it's a constant evaluation of yourself. It's a constant evaluation of your performance. It's a constant evaluation of, your mental edge, of whether or not you're acting on the wiki edge. And then, are you able to, hold yourself to a process? Are you able to continue to learn and develop different skills and different types of trading, selling theta, running spreads, options in general, if you haven't, that you can move forward with. So, and take your trading to the next level. You have to be able to do it all if you want to be able to trade in all forms of the market. So let's see if we can find some support here on SPY. It looks like QQQ's kind of creeping up still. I'm sorry, VIX is. QQQ is now putting in a little bit of a bearish hammer on VWAP. Look at that from Apple. Definite weakness today. Costco, definite weakness. Yeah, so we just said QQQ is getting a little bit weaker now. You can see it happening in front of us. AVGO is stronger. We said Meta was the strongest today. Even that's pulling back and below VWAP. So AVGO is the best. Microsoft bouncing a little bit, still above VWAP, looks all right. Netflix rejecting VWAP. Nvidia above VWAP, kind of maybe in line with what SMH is doing because AVGO is in the same place. So we'll look at sectors. Tesla bouncing a little bit here, and we just said earlier today that maybe there's some support forming in here on some of the, the news. Google seems to have found some support in here with big volume coming in on Friday. Is this a buy the dip opportunity? I don't know. Maybe. Exile says, I guess I'm fortunate to have some cash built up ready to use if I can yeah, dude, that's exactly where you want to be. Give me 1 second. Sorry, the wife just rolled in and getting some more coffee, getting a little more water. This market's not really going anywhere yet, so. Micho, for what it's worth, I have found your streams reserves very helpful. As much as I can learn from previous things, actually following the market with someone else's experiences is one of the keys. Yeah, I mean, like I said, I am not perfect. Here we go. Look at this bounce on SPY. Low a day. Candle just got some random volume coming in. And we said, okay, maybe this is a level from Friday. It's exactly what it was, right? And now we get a bounce, testing VWAP. What's QQQ doing? We said it's a little bit weaker. Well, now it's bouncing again. Which one of these are bouncing? We just talked about AVGO. Microsoft getting volume coming in here to get back above VWAP right there on that last candle. Tesla. So yeah, I mean, even though you see this happen, you see some key levels of support just being tested, right? These have been some strong moves. We're just bid checking. Our buyer's still there. Well, they're obviously still there. We're not getting a gap fill. So anyways, let's see if we're going to get a rejection of VWAP here. And if we waffle around, maybe we do another candle here. I mean, maybe you could throw on a short. Maybe on the indexes. I don't love it. But I don't know. It kind of seems like we're just waffling around today a little bit. Yeah, I don't like any of this really. I don't think there's anything here. But we'll see. All right, let me go grab my coffee. It's done. Give me 1 second. All right, so let's see what SPY does. Most important here. And then let's look at the sectors real quick once more. So it looks like XLF is giving some of it back, which is fine. Hack remains strong. Tech above VWAP. XLC below VWAP. XLV healthcare showing some strength today. Let's look at the D1 for XLV. On a little bit of a bigger pullback here. Obviously down through some key SMAs. It looks like today it's breaching the 50. Maybe there's worthwhile to look into XLV and see what stocks are relatively strong in XLV. Is there something that we could see here that could continue to lead the market higher? And so we're seeing some rotation, right? On Friday, I think QQQ wasn't that strong. Where is it? Here we go, the ambulance. mRNA is just bouncing. That's catching a knife. Nothing there, nothing there. Nothing. So a lot of like bouncing off of lows. Abbott actually looks not bad. There is some consolidation in here, but you can tell it's kind of strong. SPY just gave us an alert, so we're back above VWAP there. And QQQ, same thing. You have a pivot line here. We'll set the alert again. It's funny, I had the Raven going. Let's go back to cash register. There we go. So let's see if we are going to breach VWAP or not. I think we'll probably just kind of waffle here a little bit. And yeah, intraday, XYZ showing some strength, right? You had big volume coming on Friday. That's why I like it from an intraday perspective. I'm not sure I would be looking to initiate a long position. Maybe you could catch this move, but you're going to have to get through this level, through some of these cloud levels too first. So like Reddit a lot. This cloud level, though, is going to be prohibitive, I think. So we'll keep an eye on that. We talked about PLTR. We talked about RTX. It's making a nice move today. But you really got to find something strong on the intraday to consider it with what the market's doing. So let's see if this can hold VWAP. It looks like it's going to. And so if you were going to short SPY here to the low a day, which, you know, that's really, really tight in here, not a ton of room. We were just looking, but you would need to see a pretty big wick come in to say, yeah, this is not gonna breach VWAP, and it looks like we are. So, you know, continue to look at your longs, see what's relatively strong, see things that you were seeing that were RS. So we just said that we think this is RS. Look at the hammer it's putting in off the second standard deviation now as the market is moving up. Maybe it's not. Right? So you need to find where the opportunity is. We see QQQ, like we said, is a little bit stronger today. Maybe, well, maybe it's one of these stocks, and it looks like AVGO continuing to be kind of good, but not moving a ton. We can look at the other semis real quick. Let's look at those. Actually, let's just finish up with XLV real quick. Abbott, Lilly, nothing there. BSX. Okay, this one's interesting. Boston Scientific, all-time highs. Volume's nothing to write home about, but you know, it's testing these levels. We could just throw an alert in here and say, okay, if this goes to all-time highs, something to keep an eye on. UNH, nothing. MRK, nothing. J&J, nothing really. I don't know. Nothing really there in XLV for me. Just showing some intraday strength, maybe a little bit of rotation. Let's go into semis. Hood looks like a sell the news event. Okay. Yeah, I don't know if there is some news or something. Maybe worthwhile take a look at SMH. Doing really well on the D1, and so let's look at all of the SMH stocks and see what's really good. We talked about EVP a little bit earlier. Got its pullback, tested the 50. You know, maybe you want to see a little bit more confirmation here. So talked about SMTI, looks good. We have the alert set at the cloud level. It's high a day. OUST, this thing continued to look good. Had a pullback on Friday when the market was showing some strength. I don't know, maybe not. Maybe you want more of a pullback, but you have a lot of. This is another one that I think you could probably look at and think that maybe there's, well, look at this, it goes way back. So we should do some DD on this one, and we will do just that. Big volume coming in there though on middle of June. Okay, so this guy goes way back, has been on a longer term pullback. I know we talk about KQ and, you know, consideration there, but, you know, is there something here from a KQ perspective? Maybe. Breakout there. Let's just throw a view op on here. Boom. Where's it coming in? All right, so you already broke through that. Looks good. Yeah, it looks real good. Okay, is there an H plus now? Maybe there. Nothing really. Maybe. Nothing really. Horizontal coming in. I don't know. I like it. I like Ouster quite a bit. Nothing great on the intraday, but something to consider. ANET. This guy's been making a nice move after the breach of the 200 through, you know, definitely a little bit of breakout. You have some cloud levels here to consider. Set an alert. Cohere is one great 200 breakout, finding support on Friday. You have some key levels that are going to come in here. I don't know. But you do know that from a macro perspective, you know, what has Trump said about energy? What is, you know, Elon Musk continues to point out about, you know, how much energy China is outputting. Well, you know, AI takes a shitload of energy to run. And I don't know if Cohere's in that sector, but I know it's in that infrastructure. And so we know we've talked about nuclear, but nuclear is going to be a part of that. This looks like this isn't nuclear and or energy, but it is in the ecosystem, in the supply chain for semiconductors. Keep that in mind. EVGO, we talked about that one. Yeah, so I mean, there's got to be something in here from the SMH perspective, and it may just be NVIDIA. Okay, so now we're seeing a pullback. What did SPY do? Engulf. Look at that. Big engulf. Woof. It teased VWAP, and then it said no. Okay, so what are we going to do? We see the engulf. We see it test low day again. And we're going to look at what our RS stocks are doing. SoFi, pulling back, looks great. Is there actually a place to add here? Maybe. Shop, very strong still. Ava, still above VWAP. I'm okay with it. XYZ, above VWAP. That's what I'm looking for in an RS stock, right? It's gotten above VWAP, and it's staying above VWAP. Let's look at TXN. Not bad. Oracle, I know we shouted that one. We said it's giving some back. Let's take a look. I don't know. You say it's giving a lot back, but it's not even close to high a day from Friday. We got a lot of levels coming in here. I don't know. I don't love that it, you know, broke back down below VWAP and has remained there. So intraday it's not doing as good as some of these other ones, but you know, it's one that we have on the list. You know, is there a world where this tests back down here and goes? Yeah. Is there a world where it tests back down here and comes back down into the consolidation? Absolutely. So gotta let it kind of flush itself out there. I talked about Hood. GLW. Let's look at GLW. Yeah, these guys do glass, I think. Continues to look good. Nice consolidation breakout here on last week on Monday. Pull back to the 8 and bounce again. I mean, this is good, just standard TA of a stock that you know, had a good earnings report, it looks like. This is an old company. This isn't also an LTI company, I think, too, right? Don't they? Yeah, 2% dividend. Yeah, this thing's not bad. And yeah, I think they do glass, like we said, but you know, what do they need a lot of this glass for? Pretty much everything tech related, phones, you know, iPads, all this stuff. So all of that food for thought and consideration. Well, cool. I mentioned confirmation in there a little bit today, and you're looking for confirmation, what that means. There is a conversation that is warranted for what confirmation means to different traders. And I think it'd be really cool to have said confirmation with some of the more experienced traders in here. I've mentioned it to Izzy, I've mentioned it to Profit. I'll probably mention it to some of the other guys to see what confirmation means to them, because it can mean various things, right? And If you have the read on the market, you see that we're going to continue to drift higher. Maybe you have more impetus to get long than someone else. Well, why would you have more confidence or of said confirmation that you're looking at? I don't know, but I think that's something that is worth discussing because everyone has varying levels of risk-reward appetite, and also what comes with that is how they view confirmation. So we'll see what that looks like. Some people it's very mechanical. Some people it's a feel thing. Sometimes it's a technical thing with certain indicators. Sometimes it's we talk a lot about above yesterday's high, below yesterday's low as confirmation. Definitely some things to consider. So that conversation will be coming in the near future. When, I'm not sure, but it will be a good one. So we'll see. Some other housekeeping. Give me 1 second. Never mind. So yeah, we had to move out last week of our place because we are in transition here a little bit, and we're going to be making a move to Colorado actually this weekend. So kind of in flux here with some of the setup and the desk. It's making things a little, I don't know, interesting to consider. Horizontal there for sure. But yeah, we'll see. Hopefully it doesn't impact the trading too much. Moving around, but anyways, anything else anyone's looking at? I don't see a ton here today. I'm sorry, let's look at SPY one more time. Okay, we're still testing this low a day. I mean, that's why I was saying I think that there was potentially a short in here. I actually even had SPY pulled up, but it wasn't going to be a big return. It would have been like a 20% return on some SPY puts, maybe. Finding the low of the day, which is exactly what it did, but that would have been having to stick an entry, and then also having seen it go back above VWAP. I think it would have been tough. Anyways, Otto says it pays to be humble. Even those of us who make our money from trading, or at the very least, it accounts for half of our income. For those who are still working a full-time job, we still say, "Oh yeah, I still have a lot to learn," or whatever, because we understand we need to respect the market. It'll kick the shit out of you, yada yada. Even when I do great, I say, "Well, this is just now. Maybe the tide shifts and it will need." Absolutely, man. And I agree with what Otto's saying. Like, be ruthlessly introspective and retrospective of your performance, but also be aware of your, successes, because you got to pat yourself on the back a little bit, right? But the self pat on the back is your P&L. So, anyways, yeah. And I always say, like, there's always something to learn. There's always opportunities to learn from other traders, and different indicators that might be relevant, things that you notice from an institutional perspective. We try to keep an eye on those things because those could be very important to your trading and/or the ever-changing evolution of the market. So QQQ putting in some weakness here, testing the second standard deviation, bouncing a little bit, SPY doing the same thing. So now it looks like they're back on the same page here. And so we could look at the mags and say, okay, what happened? Well, NVIDIA dumped below VWAP, so that's probably out. Microsoft still showing some strength. Looks like AVGO as well, doing all right. Tesla holding up above VWAP. Meta, now that we're showing some strength, is now just kind of barcoding back down below VWAP. Apple, we already mentioned that one. Costco weak today. Amazon weak today. Netflix weak today. And same with Alphabet. So keep an eye on some of this stuff. And listen, I'm well aware that my style of trading doesn't fit for everyone. There's many different other styles of trading within this Discord that use the wiki that are very successful too. So keep that in mind. But at the end of the day, they all amount to what? Evaluating stocks based on their relative strength and relative weakness, and determining, is this part of the wiki edge that we are learning and or taught? And if it is, where's an opportunity to make some money off of it? What else we got here? Hood conference, okay. That's why we're seeing movement there probably. Not exactly promising, doing a gap initially. Yeah, I don't see a ton here, so. Profit likes ASTS for a short. Yeah, it's not bad. Intraday, we said it's definitely relatively weak, but we like it for. I mean, if you understand that and you understand that there's opportunity to trade that intraday short off the top, sure. But look, now it's probably holding the 8. Like you're looking for a test of the 15. Could it do that? Absolutely. But low a day already is put in on SPY, and are we going to keep, going down to the next level and test this, the third standard deviation and down to this next level from Friday? I don't know. But obviously on Friday we saw some big selling there. You probably need to get through, the gap fill first before you make any judgment. But if the buyers continue to not step in, I mean, they are holding this level, but if they continue to reject VWAP, at some point, maybe we will break down further. So we'll see. Which chart are you reading from? I don't know what you're talking about, Micho. Permanent student of the game, exactly. Have a growth mindset always. Always be thinking, be humble. Understand that the market can humble you if you're not, and say, what are the opportunities for me to continue to learn? And if you find things that are successful, well, then you kind of, lean on those things. And the wiki is a successful way to trade. Lean on the wiki. Lean on the D1. Anyways, I don't know. I don't see a ton here today. I am enjoying the stream, but also at the same time, I'm not sure. What's going on, Doctor? How you doing, man? I'm not sure if there's too much to be looking at here. Like we said, we sold some puts on AEVA. They'll probably be about break even, up a little bit. I'm happy to hold those. Really like shop. Look at the volume coming in here. SoFi, we're getting a pullback here. Maybe there's a world where we could add, here at 1838 or so. Nice move today so far. XYZ still showing that relative strength intraday. Let's look at the watch list and see if there's anything else that's really popping out. FSLR, which is really interesting to me. We mentioned this earlier. It's making a nice move, but we know how solar stocks can go. It looks like it might have already made the move for today, though, because look, it tested the pre-market level, and that's 9%. I mean, these things can really move, but you know that the news is a little bit confusing on this one because the big bill, I think, dumped solar and wind. So, how that impacts FSLR is something to consider. Sedge, same story. We talked about PLTR. We talked about APP. I mean, we've talked about almost all of these already. MSTR, I think they bought a bunch of Bitcoin today. I don't know, but there's definitely a level there. My stance on crypto and Bitcoin is softening just because of the stance from the administration. It sucks that, that's a reason why I would consider something, but that's just what it is, right? You have to understand the market, understand where we're going, understand what is happening to the US dollar, and make your financial decision making reflect. So Monday, nice move here from Monday, not bad. It's some big time H minuses coming in. Got another one here. I like Monday, I don't mind it. I'm in Grawl working nicely. Let's see, let's look at Grawl. Alright, not bad. What is this thing? Holy Grail? Medical supplies? I mean, intraday looks great. Nice pick. Where was your entry? Just throwing a VWAP on here. Couldn't be more obvious. Probably already through that. Nice. Horizontal level coming in up here. Yeah, nice pick. Couple horizontal levels, not bad. Let's add it here. SPY bouncing, QQQ bouncing a little bit. You know, what does that look like for picks? All right, fair enough. Let's look at the account. Not doing too shabby. Yeah. Let's look at O. Breaking down through the 50, tried to today. You had this H minus, seems like that was probably relevant at some point. A lot of minuses coming in here. This one's more of an LTI stock. Nothing too big there. Let's look at like Walmart. All right. Let's go back into the watch list. Anything else here? Yada, 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 yada. Rocket Lab, another one in that aerospace sector. Kind of interesting. We talked about XLF. Let's look at those. We haven't looked at too many of those today. Crowd looking good. Crowd, I mean, maybe we just set an alert up here. I don't know. I don't know how to trade this. I think you consider it intraday traded if you can get a good entry. Otherwise, maybe you sell puts on this, but they're really expensive and you need a lot of collateral for that. So I'm not sure. Maybe I'll look at the, let's look at that. Crowd, we'll get PLTR one more time. Nothing. Okay, we said we're gonna look at bank stocks and financials. Let's look at those. So SoFi's leading the way. UPST, also another good one. Putting in a little bit of a hammer today. Kind of interesting, showing some more weakness here. GS was the other one that Izzy liked from before. I think he had some good news, and now it's selling on that good news. Hopefully he got out and took a W there. Still looks decent. It's holding the gap up, so not bad. JPM. Let's look at JPM daily. Looks good. Continuing to look good. WFC, another one. Putting in a hammer today, though. Bear hammer. AFRM, another one like SoFi. Okay. Schwab. Maybe some consolidation breakout coming in here. Maybe an an L plus that's kind of holding up here. Hard to say. MA, Visa. These guys kind of testing these 50s and the bouncing off of the 100 here. I don't know. Maybe there's something here. They don't move a ton though, so hard to trade. BAC also looking good. AXP looking good. We know AXP is a pretty solid stock. Look at this bounce pullback and then, you know, retesting all-time highs. Something there. Cool. 6:26 hour before close. We're also looking at Acro. Let's look at Acro. Yeah, Pharma pulling back. I mean, if you're in it, you got to be weathering this pullback. You probably think you could just bounce off the 15 here or the 21. You're riding the 20. I don't mind it. Retest all-time highs. I mean, there's a significant level there. I think if you break out of this level, you could just layer in probably, or you could take an entry here. I don't know. Weak today though. All right, SPY. VWAP test again. Now QQQ is probably a little bit weaker, it looks like. VIX coming down though. So let's see. Anything else worthwhile in here? The Discord. I've accidentally just said PLTR. Let's look at PLTR again. What happened? I mean, I don't really see it. These guys are talking about RTX again, back above VWAP, but probably need to just pull back. I don't know. I see it. It's not bad. Definitely not bad. Can you sell puts on this at like 141, maybe even lower, 138, 137? See what that looks like. We were gonna look at puts on Crowd. Let's look at Crowd first, and maybe down here, 468, 450. I mean, not gonna get anything in 3 days, but if you went out 11 days, 465 in here, you'd get some pretty significant horizontal. It doesn't look awful to me. Expensive though. Anyways, what were we gonna look at? RTX. Let's look at RTX chains. And we would maybe consider selling some puts on this down here, 139, 140. Nothing within 3 days. We go 11 days. Yeah, I mean, I think it would be really tough. The chains are not supportive of a trade here. So, from an options perspective. Reddit was fine. ISA, IBM. Let's look at that guy. Doesn't look bad. Kind of waffling in here. Some consolidation. All right. Grumpy likes cat. I like cat. That looks all right. This thing's been moving. It's kind of a sign of the times. Kind of a sign of what's going on with the market in a broader perspective. Cat is industrials. You're at a big cloud level here. You would want to see it kind of break through there. Third standard deviation. I don't think it's the entry yet. You probably want to see a pullback to view up again. Or maybe test this level here. But it doesn't look bad. Definitely something there. And now we're seeing SPY trying to retake VWAP. QQQ's bouncing here too. Let's see what happens. Let's see if we can actually take this with conviction. Fangio went long Reddit. Let's look at Reddit one more time. Yeah, I like it. The problem is you just have that cloud level. So, is there a trade to high a day? Potentially. You might be seeing it already. Making that move. It's not a ton of room. A couple bucks, $3. But I mean, you can make some money on that. It's very possible. All right, SPY sure likes it. Let's look at RSP. Showing shrink this morning. We can set an alert at the high day. Just see what that looks like. Let's refilter this. Hack is the one that's the strongest. TAN is also strong. So despite all that solar news, a couple of these companies are sure moving back up. XLF is now big move back up through VWAP. Yeah, I mean, this looks like a pretty convincing move so far. Let's see what's going to happen. Are we going to test to get through this pivot point? Are we going to test, you know, this first standard deviation on SPY? I think that's what you would want to see. I do like Reddit. Let's look at those chains. Pretty expensive. All right, and here's SPY. So you want to see SPY hold VWAP now. And let's look back here. AVGO, we said this one's been kind of RS today. Look at the volume coming in. Going to potentially test this pivot level. Just set an alert there. Microsoft, volume coming in too. So yeah, we see it coming back in for QQQ. And we already have these aligned in what we think in terms of weak to strong. We said AVGO and Microsoft. Well, maybe Microsoft's the best. NVIDIA bouncing back above VWAP. I mean, it's looking kind of good. It's looking kind of good. Now you're seeing rotation, right? SoFi's kind of taking a break here. Shop's taking a break. XYZ still looking all right. You know, where's their opportunity? I think that's what we're trying to evaluate here. I would like to see this. Doji is fine. Come back to VWAP, but bounce. And then it's going to require getting through this pivot point for us to get to high day. So let's see. Yeah, we already looked at SoFi. I'm in SoFi. I like SoFi. Multiple big breaks. I was in SoFi here last week on breakout of this. I think, you know, because I was traveling, I think I had a limit order in and it got executed, unfortunately. But then I bought back in on Friday because I really like the volume coming in. I like what I'm seeing here. I like it was testing these H minuses. You're seeing the breakout today. Looks great. I don't know. Depends on your thesis. I still like it. I'd probably consider adding, but yeah, your 1861. I think that's probably not a great entry. Maybe wait for view up, but that's for you to decide. So, but yeah, welcome, Rage Cage. Hope you're in the Discord. I think there's some good learning opportunities in there for all of us. So, cool. Well, I don't know, guys. Is there anything else you guys want me to look at? Anything you guys want me to think about? Thanks for the follow, dude. But yeah, if you guys aren't following already, shoot me a follow. We like to do these, like I said before, helps me refine my process, keeps me honest, and hopefully it helps you guys a little bit. Just clear out your thought process, clear out how you're looking to market, and kind of go from there. Doctor says GLXY Galaxy. What is that? I have no clue what that is. Big H plus probably. You throw any view up on there. Close enough. Volume. What is this guy? Finance. New York. Digital assets, data infrastructure. Okay. Maybe. Through some view ops. Yeah. I see it. You have some horizontal coming in there though. Probably at like 2350. So yeah, maybe trade it to there. Did you say it's time to enter ATM? I don't know what you mean by that. Microsoft looking good, still looking good. See, you hardly get any pullback, right? It did its gap fill and look, just right back to where it was. Peter's recommended Ava's video too, but it was on the list before that already because of the strong daily chart. Sure. Use straight up shares. I'm not sure what the question is here. We'll see. Okay, so you're putting in this doji at 1 standard deviation. We said there's a big level here on QQQ. VIX is coming down though. Let's set an alert at low a day on VIX just so we have an idea. We'll keep an eye. And look, there goes AVGO. Right, testing high a day. Mallow likes ANET, nice. We talked about ANET earlier. I think we just set an alert. Yeah, there's that cloud level. Certainly looks good. It looks like it's got its attempted a pullback. I mean, look at this. Gap up, didn't even break down below the relative low of the day. I mean, this guy looks great. It's a great trade. Really like it. I think that's in our interesting list too. If not, it deserves to be in there. Nice shout. All right, so rejecting 1 standard deviation, SPY maybe getting its pullback to VWAP, and are we gonna bounce here now? Okay, so we see the stocks that are relatively strong. Nvidia might be one of them. at close. ANET is obviously really nice. XYZ intraday looking pretty nice. Yeah, ANET banger. Very impressive, Mallow. Very impressive if you're in here. Well, cool. I don't know. Hopefully this helps some people. Gave an idea of where my mindset is. AVGO, there you go, new high day. And big hammer coming in off of VWAP here from SPY. I mean, is there a world where you could get long here or something? It's very possible. Maybe it's Reddit. Looks pretty good. Is pulling back a little bit here, so maybe it's not even as strong as the market. Likely something better. ANET, it's already gone. I don't think you can just jump on that at this point. Shopify looking pretty good. Maybe it's one of the mags. Maybe it's a semiconductor. Let's look back at the sectors real quick. Let's look at TAN. We know that these guys are going. We know that FSLR is going. Solar Edge is going. I mean, just be careful in here. These guys are finicky. They feel a little Momo-y sometimes. Let's look at the nukes. Nothing crazy. They're pretty muted today. Energy. No. FTNT, we talked about that. Look at this. It's testing that H-. Pretty nice steady price action here. Didn't really gap up too much, but strong, just relative strength all day. There goes QQQ, getting through that pivot point. So cool. Oh, we'll look at sound. This one's come up a couple times. Profit like sound. Nice breakout at the top of the cloud, 50 and 100. You have some horizontal levels that are going to come in here to consider. I don't mind it. Big gap here. If you get above about, I don't know, 12 or something here, probably looking good. You have big H minus probably. Let's see what this looks like. We know this is AI, so it moves accordingly. Getting through the H minus looks really good. You could throw in some VWAPs real quick. Breaking out of that one. See it here. Looks real good. Yeah, we like it. We like sound. Nice shout. Also very cheap. You know, is there a world where this is one that you just get in with some shares and ride it? Maybe. Cool. Yeah, Mal, you missed the stream. I was just giving you props for your ANET trade. Really nice. Nice pick, man. Really nice pick. All right, and see this. Look, this wick, if you watch the candle, it looked like it was a pullback, and you know, the market's fine. The buyers are coming in here now. Right? We tried to break down this level multiple times, put in a little bit of a bottom on the daily or on the intraday, and now look where we're at. We're going to test the 1 standard deviation. We're going to pull back. What we didn't throw on here was the end of day VWAP. Probably worthwhile. See where that is. Oh, look at that. No effing surprise. Look where it is. Let's look at it on QQQ too. No surprise whatsoever. Funny how that works, huh? Same thing here. End of day AVWAP. Pretty powerful tool. Credit to Isidore for that guy. There's definitely something there. So. All right, well, let's see what happens here. Look at Chop. Something there on Chop. And see, like, Ava here, this going sideways, you're just eating the theta. Obviously, if you go, it didn't have weekly options, so 18 days out was the earliest you could sell. But if you're, sometimes you can sell it a weekly and you get pretty good profit with good support. This one would need to make a pretty big move to get down here. If it moves against you, sure, fine. But, this is discounted. You get the volume that's coming in. I mean, you see the price action. Institutions like this stock. Pete pointed this one out. This is a great pick. And, this is a good way to start learning how to trade all-time high stocks. Stocks that are making new all-time high, relative highs. Stocks that are, making these long, prolonged bullish moves. I've always had a tough time trading those. AVWAP. AVWAP. And end of day AVWAP. But yeah, the purple line here. Purple line is always AVWAPs when I throw them on the chart, and then the green lines that correspond with them are the 1 standard deviations that come off of them. And yeah, so you're getting your bullish move. We confirmed above VWAP, and you're taking the next leg higher. If you're in long positions while you're evaluating them, look at Shopify. Brilliant. We talked about net. Brilliant, right? So anyways, just to reiterate, if you didn't watch Pete's video, watch Pete's video. So valuable, so many nuggets in there. And the biggest one that I found was this, right? How often do we trade in this environment? The market is strong, but seems ripe for a pullback. It seems overextended. Well, what do? You can day trade the strongest stocks, making new all-time highs. Consider selling OTM puts on good stocks with strong support below. Recognize that this takes a lot of capital to do it at high levels, but you can do this on strong stocks that you're willing to own. And then if you want to take it to the next level and really, be advanced in your day trading, is there an opportunity to short off the top? Well, we know what the top is today. Let's look at it. We know what the top is today on SPY, right? It's some of these levels in here. You have a pivot point in here that looks like it's going to be pretty significant. If it kind of meanders its way up here, starts weakening out, is there a retest down to VWAP? I don't know. And you would need to see the market roll over a little bit with some of the indicators. You would look at something like RSP, you'd look at something like QQQ, you look at all the other sectors, and you'd see. You look at VIX, it's coming down. I don't think there's going to be a short here at this point, but if you see this start waffling, do a double top, and then you see a bearish hammer come in, maybe you do short to VWAP. I don't know. Anyways, Mallow's now in SoFi too, it looks like. Yeah, I'm big on SoFi. I like it a lot. I'd like to. I mean, this is a pretty good place to add even. So yeah, I don't think whoever mentioned SoFi earlier. I think it was Rage Cage. Like I said, objectively, I think it's a strong stock. You're trading a breakout. You just need to set your expectations to what you think it's going to be. And so here's the levels. The blue levels I drew in were cloud levels from historical price action all the way back to 21. And then you're looking at testing all-time highs. Well, you got a lot of shit to get through here to do that. What's your time horizon on those shares? How much of your account is that taking up? Is there an opportunity to add to a position here? Maybe there is. You know what? I'll add a little bit to SoFi here. Nothing crazy. That'll move up my cost basis a little bit. But we're up 6% on this, 1758. Yeah, it's making a nice move. So we'll see. Yeah, so let's watch the market here. Let's see if it's going to keep moving up or not. I asked Izzy if he wants to jump in here. It looks like he's not responsive. He's too cool. You want to sell tomorrow for $19? I don't know. Maybe. There's probably some H pluses coming in here, so maybe we draw those in. There's one there. Perhaps something here. I mean, you're looking at potentially good up till 20s. But like I said, a lot of BS to get through here in these levels. Some pretty big cloud levels. That one in particular. So we could just set an alert there, keep us in the loop when it's making these awesome moves. But it is quite overextended, so keep that in mind. Cool. ANET pulling back a little bit here. Maybe you'll find an entry on something. ANET looks like a good swing to me. And we were just looking at Reddit too. Let's go back to Reddit. A little bit less convincing based on what the market's doing. QQQ now stronger. Look at that VWAP test on AVGO. You think, you know, the market and buyers like AVGO? I think so. NVIDIA, nice move here. Is there any volume coming in on any of these? Anything in particular? Netflix kind of retracing a little bit here. Amazon showing some weakness. Kind of interesting. This is it where... Ah, okay. I actually entered SoFi. I mentioned this. I entered SoFi. I entered SoFi on Tuesday last week. And then I got closed out on Wednesday, I think. Just because I had like some stupid limit order in, which was a mistake. So I... You know, as I'm getting more confirmation, I actually re-entered on Friday. Closer to the day. You started to see the relative strength coming in at the end of the day, I think, on Friday here, and I was like, yeah, it looks all right. Let's make an entry. So, yeah, I like SoFi. So, oh, it's easy at work. All right. Well, cool. All right. Well, it is about 9 o'clock here, PST. I don't really have much else. I think this market's a little bit tough to trade right now. Maybe there's a long to high day. Maybe. QQQ definitely showing some strength. Yeah. Monitor your RS positions. You know, consider some out of the money puts on stuff if it makes sense. We were looking at Reddit. Let's look at Reddit chains one more time. I think we already looked at them today, but is there something we could sell out of the money? I mean, yeah, you could sell out of the money 3 days out at, well, what's 130? We got to open up how many strikes are showing here. You could go out of the money on here, 140-ish. That would give you, that'd put you about here. The 8 is at 141.80. I mean, you have a couple AV ops that are coming in. Maybe something closer to 135. What does 135 look like? We need more strikes. More strikes still. Yeah, so not much for 3 days out, but what does that look like for 11 days out, knowing that there's a short week too? Probably $1.50. That's a kind of a wide spread, not a ton of volume there. Volume's better right here, 140. What does 140 look like? Maybe a little too high. Pushing it a little bit. I don't know. Maybe there's something there. Hard to say. What 8 indicators am I using? So on the M5, I use volume candles. Just kind of, you know, highlight some of the candles. I have volume 20 in general, which is just volume. A different look at volume as well down here is, what is this one? SATI volume stack. I actually quite like this one a lot. It kind of shows you on the individual candles what the volume was based on buyers and sellers. I have pivot points on, which I think are interesting. They've shown to be some considerable levels of support and resistance. I have VWAP standard deviation bands, and this shows VWAP is green. You have 1 standard deviation off VWAP is gray. You have 2 and 3 as red. And then I have the 8, the 15, and the 21 EMA on the intraday. You see it here, 8 is orange, yellow is 15, and blue is 21. And then, okay, so look at this VWAP test pulling back again. This is, I think we're kind of LPTE here unless we can really hold VWAP as convincingly. So you can see this is a little bit stronger QQQ. Is there something in QQQ that we could consider a long for? Well, we certainly like NVIDIA. We certainly like what Tesla's doing here. Like we said, maybe you sell some puts on Tesla. We could even look at that. I mean, this is not really a stock that I'd love to hold, but the support here is without a doubt valid. So is there something at like 311 or 310? Yeah, I mean, you could go 3 days out at 310 and get 390. I mean, that would put you below the 50 and the 100 and the 200. I mean, that feels pretty good. In 3 days? I mean, the problem is you never know that Musk could say something stupid. So, put an ambitious limit order on this one. And maybe get filled. We'll see. All right. We like SHOP a lot. We mentioned that. RSP pulling back through VWAP, so pretty significant weakness. That means that QQQ is holding this up, which you're seeing the hammer come in here. And what is it? It's probably NVIDIA. You're seeing Netflix testing VWAP now too. Apple's below, so we'll move this up. Meta's showing some weakness, but bouncing off this pivot point, and also the second standard deviation, maybe the third as well. So let's see what that looks like. Costco weak, Google also weak. AVGO, nice VWAP test off of one big candle. That's pretty significant to me, if you ask me. Yeah, I mean, we'll see what SPY does here. We'll see what RSP does. That's not super convincing. So obviously there's some rotation coming in. What's my Discord? I don't have a Discord. I'm in the RDT Discord. Someone could probably link it in there. I need to get like Nightbot or whatever to add it. Okay, so see if QQQ can hold this pivot point. We've seen that this is a strong level all day, or all morning. Let's see what RSP does here. Bouncing a little bit. SPY bouncing off of VWAP. You would need to see some conviction here, though. Thanks, Mallow. Let me go ahead and do this real quick. Boom, upgrade. Let's go. Mallow's a mod in here now. He's been around the block for a hot minute. Glad to have him. Yeah, and so evaluate your RS. We like SoFi, we like SHOP, we like some of these. Like, it's looking pretty good from some of the picks. Ava, Pete's pick, not bad, kind of grinding higher. It's up 3%. I mean, so I can look at my puts here. The puts that I sold on that are up 17% already. That looks great. Yeah. ANET's getting its pullback. You know, let's see what happens here. If SPY continues to bounce, it's putting in a little bit of a wick. But QQQ is stronger. And so I mean, look at that. AVGO is the one. And we said it's one of the ones that we're looking at. We're looking at Microsoft. We're looking at NVIDIA. We're looking at Tesla here to sell some puts on this. I mean, we're cautiously bullish. So anyways, if you guys are just tuning in now, maybe worthwhile to go back and watch the first, I don't know, 30 minutes or so, because we talked about kind of market thesis and what we were thinking. But yeah, we like where the market's at. We think there's some good trading opportunities. Really like Pete's thesis on the market. Really like his thesis on trade strategy in this type of market, because like we said, you're gonna see this formation happens a lot, where you see this bullish price action after pullback, after some consolidation, pullback, breakout, gap up, whatever, off some news, right? You're going to be in these situations in your trading career on a frequent basis. How do you trade it? How can you find opportunity in this market and still make some money despite indecision, despite concern for macroeconomics that are coming in the longer term, right? I don't know, but that's what you need to be thinking through. So we look at RSP, certainly some weakness here. IWM was making a nice move, I think the other day. It was breaking out, and then it maybe rejected it at the end of the day. Let's look and see on the D1 what that looks like now. 216.19 is now the 200. Is that right? No, that's wrong. 215.68. Sorry. Cool. So almost low a day for IWM, but holding that. I mean, IWM we know is risk off, so risk on. Sorry, I get those mixed up all the time. And look where that is. Look what it coincides with. Could you throw an AV op on here too? See where that comes in. You know, it's a little bit below that from the gap up. I don't know. Is there something there potentially? Anyways, if you guys are in here in the in Twitch and you you know, on the stream, and you have not been to the Discord, I highly recommend it. Really good trading community, some really good traders in here, and really good you know, learning opportunities for yourself and for you to continue to grow. So we talked about PLTR, and look at that, new high a day almost. Yeah, I mean, this is in our F long list because we know that from a macro perspective, there's something here for PLTR. It's up 6% today already. Kind of wild. Gap up off of off of Friday's big pullback at the end of the day. That was certainly something. So cool. Anything else? I don't know. I think that's probably it. Maybe we'll leave it at that. Like I said, housekeeping wise, short week. Keep an eye out for all the news. I don't know if there's earnings this week. That's one thing we didn't look at. Let's look at earnings real quick. FedEx tomorrow after close, so that'll be potentially interesting. Indicative of you know, some of retail in terms of you know, overall how much things are getting shipped out, what kind of volume they're seeing in their business. You know, what their outlook looks like for the market. Micron, we have earnings. Is this last week? This is last week. I was like, Micron was last week. So there's nothing this week. Yeah, there's jack shit this week. All right. Well, cool. Awesome. We'll leave it at that. I thought today was pretty cool, pretty informative. Like I said, watch Pete's video. It is so good. One option on youtube.com. You learn a lot about, you know, market thesis, really how you trade a market thesis, right? You got to be thinking through those things. Find your best RW picks, mainly RS if I'm you, right? This market is bullish. And look at that in golf. Pretty much nice in golf with QQQ. QQQ is leading the way. It's at third standard deviation, so it's probably a little bit tough to get long here. But, you know, which of these mags could you potentially take long on? Look at Netflix now. Meta's curling. A lot of these QQQ stocks are curling. I mean, this is pretty bullish. And we didn't even get a full gap fill. We tested some of these key levels from yesterday, and look where we're at now. Thanks for sharing that, Doctor. Yeah, it was last week's earnings. You got to give me a break there. I was out. I was off the desk. So, Yeah, let's see what happens. You know, cautiously optimistic, selling some puts on good stocks like this, starting some positions on some nice breakouts in shares. If there's things that are intraday, you know, opportunity, maybe we could get some intraday directional, you know, options trades. But happy to just kind of watch a little bit here too and see as things go. So like to see the support coming in on the market here, and you know, this is now a key level. 615, well, I guess it's a VWAP, right? As it continues to come up, which looks like it's going to be about 615.90, 616 in there. So let's see how that reflects. Let's see how QQQ reflects as well, and see what RSP does. Watch all the sectors and see, right? At some point, we're going to see a pullback here. Evaluate your RS stocks. Can you stay in them? Can you not? That's what you got to determine for yourself. So, like we said, the Discord got linked in there. If you're not in the Discord, get in there. Read the wiki. Don't come in there guns firing. Guns blazing. You know, it's a great place, but we also are a very serious group in terms of trading. We like to help people that are learning, that are willing to put in the work, that are willing to read the wiki. If you're, you know, in there and you're shilling other crypto nonsense and low float, you know, Momo trades, well, you know, and we don't know who you are, or you don't have any background to it, then, you know, I don't really have time for you. But yeah, we like to help people out, and we like to talk about process, like talk about good picks, see what happens. But awesome. I guess we'll leave it at that. If you guys aren't following, shoot us a follow. We'll try and get this a couple more this week, and see if you know, some of the other guys want to jump in here. Please do not take MQs. I mean, you can take whatever. Honestly, you can take whatever you want. But at the end of the day, you know, it's your risk, it's your reward. So no problem. Appreciate the lurkers in here too. Hopefully, you know, some of this stuff is helpful. And otherwise, I will be in the Discord. Just kind of shooting the shit the rest of the day and monitoring my positions. And yeah, I'm gonna keep it kind of easy this week. There's no reason to, you know, be slamming into anything, knowing that SPY is due for a bit of a pullback. Look how extended we are from the 8 here, and we're at all-time highs. So respect the levels, identify which ones are the important ones, which ones aren't. Evaluate your RS and see what you can do from there. So cool, awesome guys. Appreciate it. Cheers. And we'll see you guys later this week. Have a good one.